Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome again. Welcome to this Wednesday night, your favorite talk show ever, Time to Talk. My name is Rafael Caldas. Here I have Guilherme Dias and a special guest. Ebony is here with us. Hi, Guilherme. How, Ebony? How are you
Hello,
doing?
everybody.
Hi, everyone.
We are here to kick off our usual Time to Talk. Today we are on our episode 29. Believe me, 29. Um, and our question of the day is I discovered I am a medium. Now what? Um, which was a suggestion by Ebony. So we're going to talk to her in a second to understand where this suggestion came from. But as usual, I wouldn't be the same without going through our broadcasters. First of all, we have three institutions behind us. If you follow us, if this is not your first time, you are tired of listening to me saying this, but if it's the first time, I'm going to introduce you to these amazing institutions. First of all, SSL, Spiritist Society of London. It's a group dedicated to studying Spiritism in London. We have sessions online on Tuesdays and face-to-face on Thursdays. If you'd like to know more about it, go like our page on Facebook. All three of us are part of SSL, Ebony, me, and Guilherme. SSL is affiliated to the second institution, BUS, British Union of Spiritist Societies, which is like a federation of Spiritist institutions in the UK. And third, but not least, Kardec Radio, which has been around for over 10 years now, bringing a lot of content about Spiritism to you in English across the globe. All of these institutions have a lot of initiatives to offer. If you please like to go check their page on Facebook, on YouTube, follow them, and you see all the good stuff that they are preparing. Now, I'm going to talk. So I discovered I am a medium. Now what? Funnily enough, when we were talking to Ebony about her joining us for this chat, we said, like, what kind of topics you'd like to cover, what you think about it, and so on. And she gave us a few options, and then that's the one that popped up. So I want to ask you, Ebony, first of all, welcome. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us in our time stock. But why? Why did you suggest this topic?
Well, I think mediumship is a very widespread phenomena. And there are lots of mediums out there who have stumbled into the discovery that they themselves are mediums. And I know from my own experience, when I discovered I was a medium, that was the first question that I asked myself. What do I do? Where do I go? What now? So thinking about all the other mediums out there and wanting to educate them and to share, that topic just kind of popped out at me. It seemed very relevant.
It is indeed. Guilherme, what about you? Why do you think this was a topic for us to bring today? What's the importance behind it?
The main point, Rafael, was to make Ebony comfortable and make my life easier. Because as she suggested this topic, we all will address her questions. And that's very positive. But jokes apart, I think is a very important question. Because so many are afraid about it. So many do not know what to do. And so many hear the wrong answers for that question. So I think it's a brilliant topic. So that's why I think we chose this one.
Nice. Um, before I make a little comment, let me say hello to the ones who join us always. Faye and Marco, hello. Good to see you both here. Uh, as you know, this show is for us to have a chat, open conversation. If you put your comments or questions in, I'll bring them up. We'll try to answer or read them on and just get the conversation going to make it as dynamic as possible. You both touched on something that is quite interesting, and it goes back to what we were studying in our group today, which is not understanding things, or even like the term medium. A lot of people read the term or hear the term, and there's just so much connotation behind it that they bring from what they heard before and so on. And they might even stop. It might be something that makes them stop and not even look further or not be interested because it is like this fortune teller, is this whatever it is, a charlatanism or whatever it is. And in reality, if you I think you mentioned that, Guilherme, if you read the term, and even if you have the wrong connotation, you allow yourself a moment to kind of understand maybe what was behind, what's the context in which it's using, what it means, and so on. You might actually open doors to explore things, learn things, re-signify things based on your experience. And with that, Ebony mentioned something about mediumship being a phenomenon that is so widespread, and that a lot of people usually actually do not have easy or in an easy way where to go, how to investigate, how to actually find out about what is happening, how it happening, why me, and so on. And as you put it yourself, I want to ask how do you feel? What do you think helped you in your, I guess, discovery, in your investigation, your study, your reflections about mediumship?
Well, let me make a little assumption here, and I'm going to assume that perhaps not on live, but in demand or on demand, we're going to have a lot of people viewing this program who are of a non-spiritist background. So we have the benefit of having the spiritist understanding of what mediumship is. But when I had all these different phenomena happening around me, and my friends and others, you out there who is experiencing what you're experiencing, what first came to mind? And for me, it was, I can't be crazy. This must be natural. I know what I am experiencing. I'm seeing what I'm experiencing. I'm feeling what I'm experiencing. Nobody else can tell me any different. So if this is natural, then it is not something that I need to get rid of. I need to understand it. I need to do some research. And coming from a Christian background, because I knew that this was something spiritual, because what was happening was not caused, in my mind at least. Later on, I knew that the source of it was spiritual, but to my understanding, it must be from another realm, from a non-physical realm. So where do I go to get information about what is happening in the non-physical? And for me, it was Christianity. To me, it was religion. So that's where I started. And I started reading the Bible and having a deep faith in God. Religion aside, because I have a faith in God apart from religion. My belief in God has nothing to do with religion. So I first started to pray, Lord, help me with what is happening, because I don't understand it, but I know you must have the answers, because this is something spiritual and you are a spiritual being. So again, using logic, reason, and common sense, that's how I came to first going to religious teachers to help me come to an understanding of what was happening. And not being satisfied with the responses that I was getting, again, because of ignorance and because of pride, I started to do research on the internet. And then a wonderful word popped up at me, Spiritism. And then, you know, I found I was able to download Kardec's books, the 5 basic books, starting with Meet the Medium's book. And that's when everything that I thought, I mean, though on a basic level, meaning this is natural, this is not something to be afraid of, this is something that comes from God, all of that was verified in Kardec's book. And so I had that aha moment. I was so excited. My family thought that I was going mad. Oh my God, what is she reading? You know, see, aha, we told you she's disturbed. But I didn't care what anybody else said, because this was something that awoken me to who I am. And isn't that one of the fundamental reasons why we're here, to understand who we are and why we're here? So that's how my journey began.
Nice.
The first part of what you said, many people still asking about me. Is he crazy? You know, because everything that's different is hard to people to understand. It's hard to us to understand. So what you said that's very important is that you started a research. You researched for knowledge. You had no quarrel with anyone. You just want to have knowledge. Doesn't matter where. You even went to the internet. Something that we need to be careful about, because the internet is massive, but there's a lot of knowledge that is positive, a lot of knowledge that is not positive. So, but what your first reaction was very good indeed.
I like something that you said, which was in all the words you said, a separation between faith, religion, and your experience. Because when you were talking about, I was brought up in this specific religion, but my faith in God was my faith in God, and was beyond and above that. And the experience I had, no one would tell me it wasn't happening, because it was the experience I was having, and there's nothing that could deny it. And I have a few friends that I know that they got to the investigation about mediumistic phenomena, even about spiritism from a religious perspective, with a very similar journey as yours. It was by looking for answers for some specific questions, but not happy with the answers they were getting where they were. Which brings me to another big point, which is our ability to think, right? You're talking about logic, reasoning, and common sense. And we all have that. We should all strive for reflect upon things. We were talking before that about we shouldn't just accept, as an example, shouldn't just accept what you're saying here. You shouldn't accept what you're just given in terms of philosophy, ideas, and so on. Make your own mind, reflect upon it, ask what are the questions that you should be asking based on what you are hearing, and then go find your answers. You might find it here, you might not like it there, and then until you find somewhere that it makes sense to you. So I like that a lot.
Well, go ahead, Guilherme.
One thing that's important is to everyone to realize that mediumship has no boundaries. Mediumship is not something you will find in the Spiritism. Mediumship is something you'll find in nature. Mediumship is everywhere. And it's fair to say that depending where you are in the globe, a lot of things we do not understand, we tend to go to a religion. And there's no problem at all, because mediumship is natural and will happen everywhere. Doesn't matter which creed you are, doesn't matter which part of the globe you are, will be there. So we need to be open to knowledge. And when we gather knowledge, we start to feel a bit more comfortable with ourselves and with what is around us.
I was about to say, one of the first steps that, and I think sometimes we forget to acknowledge God in everything. And so here I am, and by I mean everybody out there who's discovered that they're a medium. So now what? So it is important for us to recognize and acknowledge the source of this faculty. Where did we get our eyes from? Where did we get our nose, our sense of smell, or our taste, or our ears, or, our ability to touch? And mediumship is no different. So it is important for us to acknowledge, first and foremost, after you've discovered that you're a medium, the source of that mediumship is God. Without that acknowledgement, where are you going to turn your moral compass to when you start to use that faculty? How reverent are you going to be in using that faculty? So I think that's one of the fundamental points to make. At least I know when I did discover that I was a medium, it was a whole set of celebrating. Thank you, God, for this responsibility that you've entrusted me with. How can I or actually help me to use this responsibility to the best of my ability to help myself, to help others? I don't know what to do. So it's just you and I now, because all the information that I'm getting out there, it's so confusing. And bit by bit, I started to be almost channeled towards Kardec and Spiritism. And it all began with that first acknowledging the source of that mediumship and praying reverently and from the heart. So I think that is really, really important, because I know that there are lots of mediums out there who do not acknowledge God, they do not believe in God. And you can see from, from their work, the quality of their mediumship, the quality of their work, it shows. So I think that is really, really important.
Something came to my mind, Ebony. You had a very open mind to something new. But a lot of people, they become really, really scared, afraid even to think that I don't want to be this. I don't know what it is anyway, but I don't want to be this thing, And this is not positive. This is not from God. This is, you name it. What would you say to a person that may have that kind of reaction? What would you think would be positive for that person?
Well, at least, again, I go back to my own experiences. I didn't create myself. I don't know how to relate to a mind that does not believe in something greater than themselves. So anything I don't understand, I automatically revert to that superior being, whatever we may want to refer to it or him or she as. That's just what I do. I don't understand this experience. Yes, it is happening. I don't have the knowledge. You are the all-knowing source. So you help me. So it's that kind of, I don't know if you want to define it as humility or childlike ignorance, perhaps. So you're going back to the source. Okay, please help me. This is what I would encourage somebody who is in that position to do. Think less of yourself and think about, how did you get here? What's the source of you? And if you cannot find the answers within you, try to look outside you to that source for the answers? Does it make sense that you created yourself? Can you explain how you got here? Ask yourself those questions and, be honest with yourself. And then you might find yourself, getting answers from sources that you never even thought you would get the answers from. And that's what happened to me. Be humble enough to know that you don't know. Don't be afraid to ask.
I remember the amount of times people came to us, not asking for knowledge, not asking for assistance to learn how to handle that new sense, but wanting us to stop that thing. I don't want to be that. I want you to help me to stop that thing. Unfortunately, the answer we have to give at that time was, we don't know. We don't know how to do it. And honestly, I don't believe we can. Right? Because at that point, we could not even go deeper to explain. It's just say, well, we cannot do this, right? We can help you out to figure out better what's going on and things like that, but we cannot stop you to have this thing. And there's a lot of people that really, that's the only thing they want. I want to stop seeing spirits. I want to stop listening to people blah, blah, blah in my ears. I want, that's what I want. I don't want anything else. As I understand, we cannot grant this wish, if I may say like that. The person will move from place A to B to C, trying to find someone to say that I have a magic wand, and that's it, you don't have any more. But that's not possible. When that thing happens, kind of suffering coming together, because you cannot take your ears away. You don't want to remove your vision. You don't want to do that. If you do, you'll be kind of missing something as well. So why I'm saying that? I'm saying that to show to everyone that's also the other side of the coin. You have embraced that possibility. You try to find the reasons, you're trying to find whatever you were looking at the time. But there are other people that are trying to do exactly the opposite. They try to go away, to run away. And that's not, at least I do not know how to make it happen, right? And studying a bit Kardec, I couldn't find anything in his books that would tell me otherwise either. So that's just to make like a comparison with the two types of things we may find.
There's something else also that picks up when Ebony, you were describing your way of thinking from what you were experiencing to appealing to God or this bigger being. But we might have people who have a different awakening, let's call it, where they might associate what they are experiencing with not God and something bad, something evil. And how to help these people, then how is there something we can do to help these people? Or in the end, it's down to each and every single one of us. Yeah.
Well, I think you actually answered your own question, really, because even if you think that the source of what you're experiencing is evil, where do you go to get help with something that is negative or bad or evil? Isn't it the light, or isn't it God, or, So I know lots of people, there are cultures where mediumship is demonized because people don't understand what is happening. or they're possessed, or it's a manifestation of evil spirits, they're consorts of the devil, however it's described. I had that experience too. My entire family, thought, well, I'm possessed by evil spirits. And my response was, where else do I go but to God? Who else is going to heal me but God? If I'm sick or if I'm possessed, that's where I go. I'm not going to take the chance to go to other spirits, because I know in some cultures it is suggested that, okay, maybe, you need to be initiated, or there's something that needs to happen with the relatives who have gone or who have passed away. And that's a curse that you're going to have until that thing is done. In some cultures, mediumship is interpreted that way. And unfortunately, in my culture, that's how it was interpreted. My response was, I don't care about that. Because even if that is true, who is, in my mind, in my, ignorant little mind, who is the ultimate spirit? Isn't it God? So I don't care what threats are going to be sent my way. I don't care, because I have seen the dark side of mediumship, and I don't want any part of that. And I'm not going to be afraid. So again, to me, it always boils down to God first and foremost. If you don't have that basis, if you don't have that grounding, you are likely to just go astray.
Let me bring you another perspective. As I was saying before, sometimes people coming to us trying to deny that possibility. Sometimes people coming to us after they denied for years and no one could fix the problem. So they have no other choice than to kind of surrender and ask for the help of people that were not afraid about spirits. The approach given at the time, and I think is very positive, is first of all, we don't want you to stop worship the way you do. If you feel like that's what is important to you, so be it. If you are in a religion, so be it. Because that religion in particular is fulfilling your need. But the only thing is not fulfilling is the knowledge to how to handle what's happening with you, right? And we offer the knowledge itself, how to handle, how to become in balance with yourself and with external factors. We try to give them the true Spiritism knowledge about what it is. It's very simple, it's very natural. You don't need to be afraid. That's how you handle, that's how you do. That's the reason why you have. That's what you can do from here. If you want to stay, so be it. But if you don't want to stay, at least you know what's going on with you. You have a better chance to have a normal life, even if you go to a place where no one believes that thing. But at least you will have that knowledge. So when something happened to you, at least you'll be able to think, oh, that guy in that place, he said that could be like that. So at least you start to have some different perspective for what you could not find answers where you were before. And saying that, even atheists that do not believe in God at all, they are mediums as well. And the way I work, of course, I work with the knowledge and also the knowledge of God and how things work, and both compiled in a single practice, in my opinion, is the best way forward. But it's better to offer the minimum knowledge, even to those that do not believe in God, don't want to be spiritists, don't want to be, but offering the knowledge is a kind of charity as well, because we are trying to bring a little bit of peace. Because, as you said, oh, people may think I'm crazy. I'll tell you what, I helped people that were in asylums because no one could understand what they were having. And on the end of the day, it was only mediumship. They were in really asylums. And this person still working with us back in Brazil. And she said many times, you guys kind of saved me. Otherwise, I would be there. I'm probably now would be in Cuckoo Land, because with the amount of drugs and the whole environment in an asylum would drive me really crazy. So I think the knowledge is there. I think it's a kind of our duty to share the knowledge, to create the possibility to people to have better lives, to understand themselves a bit better, to perhaps not to embrace like you did, but at least to have a certain level of comfort, you know? I think that's important.
I'm going to bring a quick message from Marco here when we were talking about the different religions and so on. He mentions that, unfortunately, that mediumship it still suffers a lot because the other religions, the majority of the other religions, are very dogmatic about it and remove it, any reference or any studying from mediumship, from reincarnation. And that is like the importance of Kardec's books, because it brings light to these elements that are part of our natural life, are important for us to understand our life, but unfortunately ignored by these other religions. Everything that you were saying, and the questions that I was asking, Ebony always replied, or the basis of your journey was always relying on that reflection, like not reflection, but the questioning things, and get to your own assumptions, and from your own assumptions go to the next question, the next why. So for instance, I really like your answer about if somebody is experiencing something from like an evil perspective, how to address it. And your question was like, well, if you go into evil, how can you fight evil? What can you fight evil with good? So God would be the one. And the other things that you were mentioning, like, look, if this thing that's happening is not within me, it must be external. Or if I didn't create these things, it's not a product of my imagination. The same thing that allowed me to have my senses also allowed me to have this ability, and so on. So there's a lot of reflections upon, based on what I'm experiencing, what is the explanation behind how and why this is happening. And this is going, if you go back to the original question of today, I discovered I'm a medium, now what? I think this play an instrumental part in a journey of somebody who is a medium, or anybody who is trying to understand a bit more about life, let's say. Because, as you said, mediumship is something natural. Mediumship is something that, if you're experiencing, it means it is part of nature. And if there's any ideas, or if there's any answers that you are receiving that go against that understanding, then you need to ask questions to understand what's behind those ideas. Because it is only through the questioning and wanting, but that's the thing, you need to want to understand, right? Wanting to understand is that you're going to find the different ways to understand what you're going through and to make the decisions about how you're going to use it.
I totally agree with what you said, but I want to make a question to Ebony, because I said I would make lots of questions to her today. It's my turn, right? You said you went into a quest to find knowledge. After you found this knowledge, how would you describe what is to be a medium?
I would say mediumship is an intermediary role. So you're the bridge between the spirit world and the earth realm. And you're not just a mere instrument. So you're not just a passive bridge to allow communication to occur between those two realms. You're much more than that, because you have the capacity to influence the spiritual world, because after all, you are a spirit. So my understanding from my experiences of what mediumship is, I am that communication bridge, but I am also a co-worker, an active co-worker between both realms. And that in and of itself tells me that I have a big responsibility. I'm not just translating hello to hello. I can also say, hello, how are you? How are you feeling today? I can ask questions. I can have an influence. I can, I can be a comfort to somebody on the other side. I'm not just a mere instrument to translate or transmit information to both realms.
Mm-hmm. Nice. But now I would like to ask Rafael something else. Well, what would you recommend to someone that just found out that he or she is a medium? What would you recommend them to do? Not only in light of getting acquainted to the knowledge of Spiritism, for example, but also about his or her day to day.
Day to day, right? I think the first thing I'm going to have to recommend is to read the Medium's book, because there will be ways for them to learn what to do in the experiences they are having if it's something that is a bit out of control. I think it'll be easier to manage what's going on. But in their day to day, I think I would say observe your habits to see how they affect your mediumship. Because look, if it's something that is natural, and if you find out you're a medium because there's something happening that you don't have control over, how is that affecting your life? And how is your life affecting those moments? Because we all are creatures of habits. If you have situations, habits, or whatever that influence what is happening in a negative way, try to change it, try to do it a different way so it becomes something positive. Why are you trying to figure everything out? Is the study, right? I think the more you study, the more you understand about how things work. Ebony mentioned something very good, which was she appealed to prayer a lot. Look, praying is for free. It's just like crying. Praying is for free. Complaining, crying, praying, it's for free. It's given. If you're experiencing something that is extra corporeal, pray. But I would go back to in terms of understanding your habits. What in your day to day is being affected and is affecting your mediumship, because I think that will guide you through trying to make things work better for you, put into balance, put it under control. You get you to study, you get you to use it. You need to work, you need to use your mediumship, because as we said before, it's not going to go away. I guess that's what I would say.
Let me jump in a little bit as well. And the first thing I would say to a person that just arrived with that news that I think I'm a medium. Oh, really? Very good. So the first thing to do is protect yourself, protect your family, protect your home. Your home is a place where you must find shelter when the bad time's coming. So your home should be a place of peace, of understanding, or refuge. I know it's not always the case. I know sometimes it's not easy. But with little things, we can improve the atmosphere of our home. If we start to consider that our home is a shelter, then we will start to see our home with a little bit more respect, if I may say like that. If I start to understand a little bit about how to protect my home, I will consider to do positive things in my home. I would go even further with suggestions like performing like a gospel at home or things like that. But as we are speaking to people that sometimes don't even believe in God, I refrain to that comment. Protect your home. Do only positive things inside your home. The other thing would be, as Rafael said, study. Because when you are a medium, I'm afraid to say that you have to study continuously. Because mediumship evolves as well. Things change. Things may change dramatically tomorrow, and what you've thought you knew is not enough. So you need to study again and again and again. And the most important to anyone, regardless religion, acceptance, we all can do good to someone. We all can do charity. Because when we do that, we start to create like a shield around us. When we do charity without asking for anything in return, that means true charity, then we start to make another type of friendship. We start to make friendship with good spirits. And it's better to have good spirits around us than the opposite. And to do that, I don't need to be a spiritist. I don't need to be anything. Because there is always someone in your street who needs something. There is always someone next door who needs just to talk. So when you understand that mediumship is for you to help others, and as a consequence to help yourself, you become more available to help people, to practice charity, the true charity. And then good spirits will be around you. I would say that would be the first step to try to bring a little bit of balance, a bit of peace. Because sometimes in the beginning, mediumship can be very abrupt and bring some discomfort. But this is just temporary. If you find a proper support, this is just temporary.
In your recommendation, you raised a very important point, Guilherme, which is the nature of the spirits that we have around us. What kind of spirits do you want to attract as a medium? So one of the questions that I would ask is, what is the state and condition of your mental world? Do you know? Are you paying attention to your thoughts, to your thought habits? Because as we know, thoughts we attract spirits with our thoughts. How honest are you, or are you doing an honest inventory? Have you done an honest inventory of your own conscience, of your moral qualities? In other words, do you know you, that know thyself aspect of the journey? Are you somebody who is frivolous? Are you somebody who is attached to material things? Are you somebody who is envious? Are you somebody who is kind? Are you somebody? So it's something that I think is fundamental and important. I had to do that by force when I started to realize that I was attracting a lot of spirits that I didn't want around me. So I think it is important for every medium to have that discussion with themselves and to have it honestly, because if you don't, you would find yourself being attracted to spirits who are very deceitful, and you'd find that your guides would use them to bring out or to highlight some of those areas within yourself that you need to work on. And it's not always a pleasant lesson. So mind your mind, look after your mind, be conscious, be aware of your thought patterns. What is your mental reflexes like when certain thoughts come to you? How do you respond mentally? Because you could be interacting with a spirit consciously or unconsciously, and you think that you're thinking by yourself, but in truth and in fact, you're having a conversation with somebody else. So if you're getting these impulses, for example, I'm just going to throw something out there, to play the lottery, and it's constant, it's always at you. And you may think that it is you that is just coming up with those ideas, when in fact it is suggested to you by somebody who has a habit, or their nature is one of somebody who is attached to material things. And so by unconsciously having these conversations with that individual, you are also developing a habit of becoming attached. So I just use that as an example. The point is, be conscious of your thought patterns, know what your mental world is all about, and just have that honest discussion with yourself. Who am I? Know thyself.
You know that I like pretty much to have you on the spotlight, right? It's very nice. So I'm going to make you another question. I told you before. So how do you recognize when a thought is yours or is not yours? Would you be able to tell me?
That is very easy. It comes with practice. And again, it goes back to the suggestion that I was making, which is knowing yourself. And the truth of the matter is, this is a recommendation that was made by one of the spirits in the Spirits book. But if you know your thought patterns, you know who you are, and you're honest about it, and we all need help to have that honest discussion and assessment of ourselves. We are still inferior spirits. So I have, all those dark passions raging through me from time to time. But we don't like to acknowledge it as coming from ourselves. So if we're honest and we want to know, you must know who you are. You must know, okay, if a thought comes to you that says, go kill somebody, are you are you a natural murderer? Is that something you must know when a thought is alien to you or when it's innate to you? And that comes again with habit. If you make it a habit to reflect and to meditate and to just be aware, have that self-awareness, you will be able to identify when those thoughts come at you.
I was not thinking about kill someone. I think that's very dramatic. I was thinking more like, I don't like pumpkin. So if one day I have a thought about eating a pumpkin, I know it's not mine. What? But
No, I was going to say that again, sometimes when we interact with spirits, we think it doesn't always have to be a bad thing. So using your example, a spirit that wants you to maybe eat pumpkin because you need certain vitamins. So,
No, they know me better. They'll tell me to eat something else. Come on.
so they're influencing you. You're getting a good influence from a spirit. So if you have that, if you're honest with yourself and you know, hey, you know what? I'm not very healthy. I don't really eat I don't have a good healthy eating habit. And that thought comes to you. You would know that it's not from you because naturally you're not a healthy eater anyway. So that must be an outside influence.
I love this topic, and it's not just for mediums, right? Because in the end, we all have those conversations. I think I really like what you said about by practice, by just being mindful of what's in your mind. And I think that's something that is the key to our progress. There are a few questions here for you. The first one is from Faye. Before I read the question, I'm just going to say hello to Angela, to Rodrigo, to Tammy, and who else joined later? Oh, Elsa. And Elsa. So Faye is asking, Ebony, how has your everyday life been affected by the awareness of your mediumship?
And permit me to get a little serious here, because we like to think about mediumship, or we like to think about spiritual life from a romanticized point of view. We think of it, as this romantic experience. You're always in contact with good spirits and so on. But that has not been my experience. In hindsight, I know now that my mentors were helping me to discipline myself, helping me to come to terms with who I am as a person in terms of the moral, the parts of my spirit that I need to work on. And I think my entire life has been an expiation, really. And expiation, atonement, not torture, but a lot of hardships. And in the beginning, I saw it as torture. I saw the separation from my family as torture. I saw the ostracization of my community as torture. Being hated by people who were supposed to love you, simply because they see you as an agent of the devil, because of religious indoctrination. And so at the beginning, it was very, very lonely. I've been through a lot of trials, but now I know it's almost as if the spirits were pushing away or clearing a path for me to walk easily. But that clearing of the path was very, very harsh, and it was very hard. But in the end, not the end, at present, I can look back now and I can appreciate the discipline that they gave me, and they're still giving me. And all the separations that I experienced, all the hardships that I experienced, it was to teach me how to detach from earthly things, how to prepare for the afterlife. I had these kinds of one-on-one teachings and experiences with these spirits. So it wasn't easy in the beginning, but now it's easier, if that answers the question.
I have to have a word with them because they need to squeeze you a little bit more, right? So, but jokes apart, mediumship, quite often, they come to us like a wake-up call. We don't like to be awake at like 5 o'clock in the morning because it's too early. But it is a wake-up call anyway. And if we do receive that wake-up call with open arms, things are a bit easier. There is not a single case that is exactly the same as the next one. It varies as we have so many different souls in this world. So we cannot create like a routine to say to everyone, this is how it will happen. Because every day we see some different cases. So that's why I say it's a continuous learning process. But what you said, I think is present, if not at the majority of the mediums from the beginning, at least is present at a very good number. Is that sometimes because we are not familiar with, because we are still attached to so many earthly things, it's a bit more complicated. But as soon as we learn how to handle and how to, as you also said, to know ourselves a bit better, things start to be pleasant even. And I think I will ask you again on the end, but I think it's fair to say that is even a pleasant experience. So, what time is it? I forget to see.
We have a few more minutes, not a
Okay.
lot.
Okay, so we have another 10 questions to Ebony, huh? Before we
Yeah,
finish.
we have one more. It's a good hook though, because there's a leeway to the next question from Rodrigo, and I think it's for all of us. He's asking, what to do if my mediumship is out of control and spirits assume control of me easily?
Ebony?
Again, on the spotlight. Rafael made that point, and I tried to make it in the beginning. It is important for you to know that you're not alone, and God is in control, and you need to revert to asking God for help. I had those experiences myself where my mediumship was unbalanced, and I didn't know what to do. My family didn't know what to do at the beginning. But having gone to other people and other mediums for help and the suggestions that they gave me, it always came back to love. Go to the source of love for help. And that source of love is God.
Let me help you out here as well. And I only know one way to handle what Rodrigo was asking. Study and practice. And the person has to be committed, truly committed to both. Because mediumship is not like, I'm coming today, I will come back in 2 months' time, or today I have a match to watch, I'm not going to be present today. No, it's a continuous exercise. Likewise, study is a continuous study. So when you are committed to both study and practice, and depending on the degree of the situation, both need to happen straight away, things start to come into a better situation. Things start to come together. Remember, only studying don't bring you the practice, and only having the practice don't bring you exactly what you need to know. So both need to work together.
And I think just to combine those two, I think from what you were saying before, is by studying and by practicing, you understand the importance of being mindful of your thoughts, like Ebony was saying, appealing to prayer, like Ebony was saying, understanding what kind of elements in your life, within yourself, in your thoughts and your tendencies affect your mediumship. Like Ebony was saying, all of that will come from what? Studying. So that's why study and practice in the end is key. And Rodrigo, it's not going to be unbalanced forever, as long as you know what you do now. But again, it's a natural thing, as we say many times. Look, I have a lot of questions here, a lot of praise. Marco is very happy with your story, with everything you shared. And Faye also say thank you very much, very insightful. I want to say thank you very much also for being so vulnerable and sharing your experience with us. I think it was brilliant. We are getting close to the end, so I'm going to ask if you have any final remarks before we close.
And the summary, we do have a final remark from one of the spirits who gave us a summary as to what to do and, how to view our mediumship now that we know that we are mediums. So I think that's fitting. And should I read it?
You can read it.
However, what we want to emphasize is the need to keep Christ in our hearts and minds in order not to become disoriented upon coming in contact with mediumistic phenomena. Without the notion of responsibility, without devotion to the practice of the good, without the love of studying, and without a persevering effort in our own personal moral education, the liberating pilgrimage toward the higher life is impossible.
Is really everything we talk about here today, isn't it? So, do you feel better today being a medium? Do you feel yourself not being a medium anymore?
No, I've embraced it wholeheartedly. I'm proud to call myself a medium, but most importantly, I am really humbled to be, because I see my mediumship as a tool to co-work in the work of love.
Beautifully put. Yes. It is our time. I want to say thank you. It was amazing to have you here again. Thank you so much for just sharing with us, being so vulnerable about your experience. Thank you, everyone, for the questions. Great questions coming through. Lovely to have you all with us. Thank you, Guilherme, for all of your questions. And yeah, I'm going to give our announcements and then say goodbye. As usual, here we have on Tuesdays, when you don't have time to talk, you have the study of the book Astral City and also lá. So every Tuesday, have a meeting with us if you want. On Saturdays, we have the Mediums book. It's an online course. You can join us. We are going item by item in the Mediums book and discussing about it. So feel free to join us. Every week on Wednesdays, we have Coffee Break with Kardec, hosted by Munir. And every Wednesday, we also have Spiritual Light with all of these amazing people. Elsa, Charles, Stefan, and forgot her name. Sylvia. There you go.
Rodrigo as well.
Is Rodrigo invited for tomorrow? There you go. I want to say thank you to everyone for being with us. Lovely to have you all. Thank you, Ebony, so much once again. And I am looking forward to have you next time. And yeah, that's a goodbye from me. Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you, Ebony. Bye-bye, everyone.
You're welcome.